Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. I've got three stories for you today. My story number one deals with a letter that Mr. Julio Ribeiro had written about Delhi riots. That's my first topic. My second topic is about migrant workers. Migrant workers who died. And the government says, I don't know how many people died. How can I compensate them? That's my topic number two. My topic number three is a very short topic. Toyota says that India, the kind of taxes that India is charging, Toyota says, listen, you know what? I don't think they want us in India. Is this how we want brands to look at us? That's three topics. Let's get right into the show. The only thing that can help our country currently is if we have foreigners coming and investing in our country. Why would foreigners come and invest in our country? The only reason why foreigners will invest in our country if we make our market lucrative enough for them to come and invest, manufacture, which means give more jobs to our countrymen, and then the products that they manufacture is sold in our country, in our markets. So it is very important as a country to ensure that our markets are very lucrative for foreign investment to come and invest in our country. Simple logic. Simple logic. Like, you ask a person to invest, he makes and he sells it in our country and we buy that product. It is so important that if it doesn't happen, our economy will be in doldrums. It is already. It has, and mind you, it is not just about COVID, like I said before. It is not just COVID. It has been de-escalating for quite some time, right from 2015. It has been going down and down. Please check my editorial I have done a few weeks before. So the fact remains that somewhere down the line, the only way to ensure our country goes back up is by ensuring foreign investment and ensuring good markets, ensuring good demand. Now, there was a statement that the vice chairman of Toyota Industries made to Business Standard yesterday. Mr. Shekhar Vishwanathan said that the message we are getting after we came here and invested money is that we don't want you. We won't exit India, but we won't be able to scale up either, he says. He says, for a car, for an SUV car, you are charging me 50% taxes. Who is going to buy my car? Market mein paise nahi hai. And you are charging 50% taxes on our car. Who the hell is going to buy my car? If you don't buy my car, why would I manufacture my car? And if I won't manufacture my car, why would I need workers? So he said, theek hai, I'm not going out of India now. I'm going to be in India for some time. But I'm not going to scale up and all, which means that I'm not going to give you more jobs to you, Baba. Listen, I'm not going to put neither am I going to give you more jobs, nor am I going to give you more investments. This is what the Vice Chairman Shekhar Vishwanathan had told Business Standard. In 2017, 2 years back, GM packed their bags and went off. You know, when Ford came into India, ironically and very interestingly, I had handled Ford earlier in my life in advertising. I had handled Ford. When Ford came into India, they were so enthusiastic. They wanted to make India among the top 4 markets of theirs in the world. They came with so much of enthusiasm. Finally, they couldn't do much in India. They went and now they've got some kind of a tie-up with Mahindra & Mahindra and they are kind of, very soft. They are absolutely soft pedaling in India. They are not too keen. They are not very interested in India. Why is this happening? Because other than creating markets for these brands, other than going around the world and saying, come, put your manufacturing shops in my country, I will ensure that you get a fantastic market in my country, which will ensure that there is demand in my country, which will ensure that there is jobs in my country. Our government seems to be putting tax on tax on tax on tax on tax on tax, which is actually harming these brands, harming our economy, and most importantly, harming the common man. It is harming the common man. This tax is not going to help you because of this tax, you are not going to get that job. Because of this tax, you are not going to get that salary with which you will go out in the market and purchase. That is not going to happen. And that's the problem. Somewhere down the line, I think there is absolute lack of direction. There is absolute lack of planning as far as our finance and our economy is concerned. And most importantly, I don't even know whether we know where we are going. A building collapses, God forbid, and the contractor is arrested. The contractor is taken in front of the judge and the contractor is asked, how many people died and how many people are you going to give compensation? The contractor says, you know what? I have no data of how many people died. I don't know. I didn't go to count. So the question of given compensation doesn't arise. What do you think the judge will do? The judge will pick that man up and throw him inside jail, saying that you are a criminal. You are not only an irresponsible contractor, you are a criminal. You killed those people. This will be the response of the judge. Now let us juxtapose the same situation in the case of the government of India. You see, migrant laborers lost their jobs. A lot of them died trying to go back home, trying to reach home somehow. A lot of people died. Why did they lose their job? They lost their job because the government decided that there has to be a lockdown. They didn't decide. It may be right decision, wrong decision, otherwise. We will not debate that. Or I don't want to debate it currently. But the fact remains that the government decided that there has to be a lockdown because of which the people lost their jobs. There was no food, there was no work, there was no money, there was no food. They wanted to go back home. But there was no means to go back home. A lot of people started walking. Why? Because the government decided to close down transport. The government decided to go for lockdown. And a lot of them died on the way. A lot of them lost their jobs. The government, this monsoon session, was asked as to, are you going to give them some compensation? The government says, listen, you know what? I have no data. We have no authentic data about the amount of people who died or the amount of people who do not have, migrant workers who do not have work. So, according to the government and their words, question does not arise in view of the previous question, which is question doesn't arise that whether you will be given any compensation or not. Government said question doesn't arise. सवाल ही नहीं उठता. Same situation, isn't it? Same situation. Contractor saying, I don't know how many people died. So if I don't know how many people died, why should I pay them the money? How is it different? But here it's the government, so you can't do much, can we? You see, keeping the data is the job of the government. There is something called as a responsibility which the government has to take onus of. You can't say, I don't know. मेरे को नहीं मालूम. वो आया रहेगा, गया रहेगा. I don't know. मैंने तो सिर्फ lockdown बोला था बाबा. This is how it's sounding, isn't it? Now, let me give you some data from the World Bank. According to a report of World Bank, 40 million internal migrant workers, livelihood was impacted because of the lockdown. 40 million. So government, here are some figures. 40 million. Small trade, hawkers and daily wages laborers were the worst hit by the lockdown till April, comprising of 91.2 million of jobs lost from the total of 121.5 million in that particular month. The center added more than 4,611 Shramik trains which run by the Indian Railways to help laborers return home. More than 63.07 lakh migrant workers have been shifted to various destinations located in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and other states. Food and water were also provided at the cost of these workers during the journey. This is the migrant laborer numbers. This is data. This is data. I will give you more data. Data from the states where nearly 63.07 lakh, like I told you, standard migrants reached on 4,611 Shramik special trains indicate that 110 odd deaths were caused by variety of reasons, including pre-existing illness and COVID-19. Sources say a couple of deaths have been taken into account as the bodies were found on the track, apparently run over by trains. These were numbers. These were numbers that were reported by various media. Now, media seems to know about it. A lot of figures, railway seems to be knowing about it. A lot of figures, different bodies seems to be knowing about it. CMI seems to be knowing about it. Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Then you seem to be knowing about it. But somewhere down the line, the government says we cannot collect all this, Baba. That is not our job and we don't know the numbers. So we are not going to pay any compensation. How fair is that? One of the senior most IPS officers in India, and possibly one of the most respected IPS officers in India, Mr. Julio Ribeiro, wrote a letter to Delhi police. He wrote a letter actually to the Commissioner of Police, Delhi. Now, let me tell you a small background about Julio Ribeiro. I used to work a lot with police, and one thing that I know about police is no two officers speak good about each other. Every current commissioner of police will not have the best of things to say about the police commissioner that he's taking over from, or the commissioner of police who has just handed over charge and gone ahead or retired will not have the best things to say about his number twos. Normally that is the case. Normally there are a lot of people who are exception, but normally that is the case. And please take this in a light. I'm saying this in a light-hearted way. It is not a norm or any law or something, but that's normally the case. The point that I'm trying to make is one person who I have not seen a single police officer say anything bad about in this country, and especially in Maharashtra and Mumbai, is Mr. Julio Ribeiro. Not one person, not one officer has said anything bad, has anything bad to say about this one gentleman. Not one officer. You ask any officers who have worked under any government, any ideology, whatever, they have always good things to say about this man. And everybody has respect for this man. Possibly because whenever this man has spoken, he has spoken fact. Now, why am I giving you all this prelude? Because I am going to read a letter. I am going to read to you a letter that Julio Ribeiro has written to the Commissioner of Police, Delhi. And the content of the letter is self-explanatory. Let's get into the letter. Mr. Julio Ribeiro writes, Dear Shri Srivastava, I write to you with heavy heart. As a true patriot and a former proud member of the Indian Police Service, I appeal to you to ensure a fair probe into the 753 FIRs registered against peaceful protesters who rightly apprehend injustices born from bias and hate against minority community. The Delhi police has taken action against peaceful protesters but deliberately failed to register cognizable offences against those who made hate speeches, which triggered the riots in Northeast Delhi. It troubles sane and apolitical persons like me why Kapil Mishra, Anurag Thakur and Parvesh Verma has not been arraigned before the courts of law while deeply hurt Muslim women peacefully protesting against discrimination based on religion were lodged for months together in jail. And no subtle attempt by the Delhi police to entangle two patriots like Harsh Mandar and Professor Apurva Anand in criminal cases is another matter for concern. We, the police force in the land and its leadership drawn from the Indian Police Service, have a duty and obligation to respect the Constitution and enact the laws impartially without regards to caste, creed, and political affiliations. Kindly revisit the actions of the police under your command in Delhi to determine if they have been true to their oaths taken at the time of their induction into service. Sincerely, Julia Riboro, IPS retired, 53, Maharashtra cadre. Mr. Julio Ribeiro's letter is self-explanatory. A lot of questions have been raised on Delhi police. A lot of questions has been raised on the way Delhi police investigated this Delhi Northeast riot case. A lot of questions has been raised. Of course, a lot of other police officers also endorsed what Mr. Julio Ribeiro said. In fact, there was another letter written by 9 officers, including Saifi Alam, former Director General National Crime Records, Salim Ali, Mohinder Pal Aluka, A.S. Dulat, Alok B. Lal, Amitabh Mathur, Avinash Mohanty, P.G.J. Nambudri, A.K. Samanta. A lot of other police officers also wrote to the Police Commissioner of Delhi. They had written an open letter to the Police Commissioner of Delhi, all asking the Delhi Police Commissioner to revisit the investigation. We too urge the Police Commissioner of Delhi to revisit this investigation. Till we meet next time, Namaskar.